Hello, welcome to the Influencer Roundtable. Please, Ellie, you have the first question.
Perfect. Hi, Jamie. My name is Ellie. Ellycatt is my name on social media. So I know that the prosthetic application process took about 8.5 hours. How many times did you have to become Vecna on set, and what was the most grueling aspect of this?
Good question. How many times? Now, we had a certain number uh, of the pieces made, somewhere between. I'm gonna throw a bunch of numbers out there. Somewhere between sort of 18 to 23, somewhere in that realm. Barry would know better than I would know. It all feels a bit like a blur. And the most grueling part of the process, I mean, there was one day where where I had been playing Henry, and then I had to play Vecna the next day. And that was particularly challenging just because they required a different sort of process and a different mental sort of state of being. Yeah. I had to shift that quite quickly. So that was really the only challenge. I mean, other than that, it was, it was just the time, but that was never a problem.
Perfect.
Why don't you have the next question? Nadia, you have the next question.
Hi, Jamie. How's it going?
Very good, thank you.
How did you prepare to switch from the advisable and friendly orderly that we saw early on in Volume 1 to the massacred Hawkins and the terrifying supernatural villain, Vecna?
So with Henry at the beginning, hello, first of all, sorry. With Henry at the beginning, I had to know exactly where we end up at the end of 7. And the feeling, the internal fire that's raging in that monologue, and how that's kind of exuding from every pore, and how I was talking at that point as well, just in terms of what I was saying. So that was always kind of bubbling underneath the surface at the beginning of the Henry journey. And it was about understanding that I had to, in order to be able to survive the environment that I'm in with Brenna, that I had to just cover that fire with a bit of a blanket and a bit of a sort of nice, gentle facade, but all the time it was going on in there. So one of the things that I tried to do, and I think hopefully, astute people will see, is that as that journey is progressing, you'll just see little flashes of the fire coming through in the eyes. It will just be little moments here and there that will come through. And then, for Henry, it's all kind of out in the open. So for the end of 7, it's all kind of out in the open. So when we got to that stage, it was about drawing that up more. I feel like I'm in good company to talk about this. So like a lot of like heavy, dark meditation, a lot of kind of I guess you call them kind of semi ritualistic practice, just in terms of like setting the space and kind of being open enough for things to come through. And then when they did come through, or things were taken out and then replaced almost, it was about kind of kicking up that fire an extra notch. So that's more physical for me. And that came from just kind of igniting a fury within self almost. And for me, that's quite a physical process. And then for Vecna, again, a lot of deep dark meditation. I know that for me, like when I'm in that space, it's almost like my feet are more connected to the earth, and more connected to the ground. And so I tried to get myself into that space for Vecna more so. I listened to a lot of black metal, sono, heavy, like low frequency sounds were always a thing for me that really helped. And just letting this whatever it was that was out there kind of take over in a funny way. There was this saying that came up, which was "let me drive," literally just came up over and over and over again. I was like, you become so I became so non-conscious and so like non-judgmental, where I was just like, all right, cool, if that's what you want to do, then that's chill. So yeah, that was kind of the process for it.
So thank you.
You're welcome.
Vanessa, you have the next question.
Hi, Jamie. I'm Vanessa Decker with Horror.vixen. Okay, so I was putting out the vibe on the black carpet at the Black Phone premiere, and I saw you and your gorgeous girlfriend. She gave me full Morticia vibes. I was kind of dying. Are you a horror fan? And did you pull any inspiration from any horror movies, or did you watch any when you were kind of developing your acting chops to play Vecna?
Yeah, I am a massive horror fan. I mean, like, I'm in my 30s now, so I was in my teens when the American remake of movies like The Grudge and The Ring, or Ringu, as it was originally titled, came out, as I'm sure you know. I don't need to say this stuff, you guys know this. Yeah, I'm a huge horror fan. And then, for me, films like The Exorcist just hold, like pride and place in my collection. And so for this, yeah, I did dig further. I mean, I went into a lot of the Hellraiser world. I like the Clive Barker world in general, and then Stephen King stuff, and further and deeper. But for me, what I really gravitated towards immediately was Hellraiser, and I think there's a lot of homage to that particular series in our show. Just the very idea that Vecna is in this attic space, which in the first Hellraiser is where, I can't remember his name, but he just like molds back together again. Yeah, I'm a huge horror fan, and I tried to study as much as I could do and really immerse myself even further into that world as I was digging in. So I put posters up of Dracula. I bought Freddy Krueger dolls and just had all this stuff like floating around the house, because I've always liked taxidermy and weird stuff like that. But actually, you'll like this. So even for this role, like there was a curiosity shop. I'll be quick. Everyone else, I'll be very quick. Curiosity shop in Atlanta called The Odds End, and I went there in October of 2020. Actually, maybe it was early, maybe it was March, can't remember, sometime before we started filming. And I was just like, I'd just been kind of driven to go there, and I was like, okay, I'm going to walk into the shop. I don't know what's going to be in there, but I'm going to find something. I walk in there, and they had one vial of 2 Black Widow spiders, and that was it. That was the only thing they had. And I was like, well, of course, really? I'm fucking here, of course. Cheers. And like an old Ouija board from 1940 or 1930. So I picked up those 2 things, and just like strange things like that would happen as well, as I was prepping for this. So yeah, big horror fan, and did dive further. Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. Thank you.
Thanks, Vanessa. Appreciate you.
Leanna, you have the next question.
Hello, Jamie. I am Vamp. And first of all, congratulations on the show. You are fantastic in both of your roles. So my question for you is, you have some pretty killer powers in the show, but if you could have any superpower in real life, what would it be and why?
I did a film with Michael Sheen once, and we were asked this question, and he came up with what can only be described as the most brilliant answer of all time. I mean, if I'm being honest, my superpower, I'd like to be invisible for the day. I think that would be really interesting. But he said he'd like to appear 3 inches to the right of wherever he was, so that if somebody tried to hit him or throw something at him, it would just like go through him, which I kind of thought was genius. But yeah, invisibility, I think, would be fascinating, just to see people for potentially who they really are in the quiet moments.
I love that. Mine's flying, which is kind of, I guess, a typical answer, but I love yours. I love that reasoning. So thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Flying's way less invasive. That's a smart one. I should have gone with that.
Less invasive, less creepy, but invisibility is also pretty badass.
That's funny.
Ellie, you have the next question.
Perfect. So what song would save you from Vecna?
Oh God, Ellie, I mean, this is terrible because I've already answered this question, but for you guys, I'm going to give you a better answer. So my original answer, which was just dumb as shit, was Miley Cyrus's Party in the USA. But because of the company that I'm in, and because this is a lovely safe space, and I feel very warm, I would maybe say 1,000 Years by The Cure, just because Pornography is just like an absolutely stellar record, and that kind of landed on my kind of reference list, just artistically in general, at the same time that I was prepping for the show, and it just kind of like molds in. Or anything from My Chem as well, like anything from the Black Parade record would probably help too.
Love that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Nadia, you have the next question.
You've been in 3 major book-to-film franchises like Harry Potter and Twilight, and also a number of fantasy horror films, including Sweeney Todd. Do you prefer to take on these kind of roles, and how have these films been inspirational to how you choose your roles and how you played Vecna?
You're asking some good questions because they're making me, they're giving you funny answers in a good way. It's funny, I've never considered the roles that I am taking, if that makes sense. Like, it's always the things that I have always done or been drawn to generally have tended to be either in the world of fantasy or of this sort of like darker space. And that's just happened. I don't know why. I really don't know why. How has it kind of shaped me to be who I am? I suppose it's always been who I am. You know, I guess that's why I keep getting drawn to it. I guess that's why they keep coming across my desk. And but I am always interested and fascinated in characters that have something different about them, or a level of like truth that we don't tend to see from people. Fantasy as well, and I've said this before, but I love fantasy because it helps us to create a world that we really should be living in. That's what I like about it, is that it shows us so much of how we could be living, but we choose not to.
I wish we had magical powers.
Yeah, exactly. Avatar.
Thank you.
Alrighty, with just about 1 minute left, Vanessa, you have the last question.
Ooh, I'll make it juicy. Let's just cut to the chase, Jamie. Is Peter or Vecna gonna be in season 5? Give it to me straight.
Oh, Vanessa, I can't give you anything. My lips, A, because I don't know, and B, because my lips are tightly sealed. So that's the answer that I have for you. Would I like to be? Absolutely.
Well,
Absolutely.
I hope to see either one return, because you're fantastic.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And thank you for the lovely things you said about Jessica too. I'll let her know.
She's stunning.
Oh, bless you.
All right. If anybody's got like a one-worded question, Vamp, you have first priority, but we do have like 45 seconds. I want to give you guys all the time you can take. So really quick question. Vamp, do you have one?
So I had a really great question, but it's really long. So I will just say thank you again for your time. We all appreciate you doing this for us. You are fantastic again, and best of luck and congratulations.
Thank you so much. That's very, very kind. I appreciate every single one of you. Have a beautiful, blessed day. Thank you.
All right. Well, that's all the time that we have for this roundtable interview. Thank you all for coming. Please say